But as I go live, I've got like, yeah, there we meow, like a cat going out of tune there. Hello, Donald and Shanae. Sniggles! What up, Sniggles? All right. Well, hello to everybody around the world. Be great if someone could share this on Testimony Time on Facebook. Maybe we must have like a marketing team meeting of some sort. Oh, Testimony Time is it on? It's in the group. Someone shared. Yeah, that's nice. People complain at me. They send messages. Please let us know when you go live. Like, bro, I don't know how. Thank you, Shana. I don't know how to let everybody know. Ooh, yeah. Alrighty, so how do we get out of poverty? That's quite an important subject. How do we get out of poverty? So everybody around the world, you want to help someone out of poverty. Many of you are mentors. There's a lot of ministers who listen to these things. And the ask that question, what's the practicality of getting someone out of poverty? Well, Jesus' strategy and Paul's strategy was be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The destruction comes from lack of knowledge. Now, you can know a lot of things, but if you don't have the correct knowledge, it's correct, applicable knowledge. You can know how to hustle, how to make a plan. You can understand subsistence living, day-to-day living, just surviving. You can understand just getting through the month, each month, and then you think you've got wisdom. And it's a form of wisdom, it's a form of knowledge, but there is knowledge that lifts you out of poverty, and there's knowledge that takes you into wealth. There's different kinds of knowledge for different fields. Like ministers have a whole different other wisdom that they have to attach themselves to, completely non-flesh, but those in business have to have their feet grounded in fleshly battles. And the route out of poverty, the way out of poverty, and you can, people like to say, well, money is not the main poverty. It's poverty of spirit. And please, shush, you don't know what you're talking about. Until you've been hungry, staying in a shack with condensation dripping on you, you have to bath in a bucket, you got no food, or you got kids to take care of, and there's nothing in there. You really need to close your face hole. You really don't know what poverty looks like. You don't like, well, I've been poor. Listen, if you've got a car to live in, you're one of the richest people on earth. People, like you see these stories that say, we lost everything and we had to live in our car. My wife and I have been through that, and we still had a car. The car's insulated. There's no wind blowing through any cracks in there. There's no rats scuttling around. You can take your car and go to a place where you can wash your face in a basin, and often there's hot water. The reason we got so many showers and stuff because a lot of the kids come here, they've never had a shower. They wash in a little bucket. You don't know what poverty looks like, so you really need to shush. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Our team has been working amongst people in abject poverty for more than 20 years. I have had no other passion in my life. Whenever I did something else, it was peripheral sidetracking and maybe God taking me to learn different things, but my passion stayed the same, to lift kids out of poverty. In doing so, I've failed more times than most people have tried. And I can share some of what I've learned with you. So as ministers around the world, if you care to listen, I believe that what I share with you tonight will be of great impact. First off, poverty is colorblind. You cannot look at someone's color when you work with people in poverty. You have to realize that while people can be racist and fascist and that kind of thing, poverty doesn't care. Poverty doesn't care what color you are. You know, I've been in white squatter camps, which are far worse than African squatter camps. You know, all the different kinds of chocolate. Why? Somehow, because African culture has suffered more severely as a whole, a culture forms around that poverty, and there's still rejoicing and laughter. Church, there's still fun, you know. Kids are still running and laughing. White squatter camps are very much focused on blame, insecurity, bitterness. You know, you rarely see laughter and rejoicing and stuff like that. So when you try and pin poverty to a color, and you know, what did Biden say? He says, what was his? Excuse me, it was so funny. What did he say? He said, this goes for all poor people and white people too. President Biden, you say everybody who's not white in his mind is poor. Chinese, you know, everybody. And that's just the wrong mindset. And I want you to say this out loud, write it down wherever you are. Poverty has no favorites. So what I'm going to share with you now applies to everybody who's struggling. Your first war is going to be to get people to divorce themselves from culture. Whether English, Afrikaans, American, African, Russian, Ukrainian, Iranian, Iraqi, Syrian, whatever it is, the culture that you're in reinforces the behavior that you exhibit. So let's say that together. The culture that I'm in reinforces the behavior that I exhibit. See, your culture produces your habits. That's what Jesus said it like this. Well, I think the guys who interpreted it were a bit rough, but he said, if you don't hate your mother and father, you're not worthy of following me. So he's not telling you to hate your mother and father, because the instruction is to honor your mother and father. But he's saying you've got to turn your back on everything your mother and your father taught you. A church in a high poverty area is rarely capable of teaching you what you need to climb out of poverty, because that church is in poverty itself. So you need a new mentor. So the first principle of lifting people up out of poverty. And remember, I'm ministering now to missionaries all around the world, pastors all around the world, of all color, nationality. There's people listening who listen to this. These podcasts get sent to every imaginable place. Many it gets translated into Farsi. It's incredible where it goes. And so these principles that I share with you are so important. So you have to grasp that the big problem, the big fight that we have as believers in rescuing anyone from any situation, which includes relationships that fail, that kind of thing. But I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about poverty. The biggest war that we fight is to dethrone culture from that person's mind. I was raised Afrikaans and Afrikaner culture. You didn't know that, did you? Denise like, huh? As ek Afrikaans praat, Kom so lekker man, ek is daar in die Kaap. So I was raised in Afrikaans culture. My dad decided, mom and dad decided, that us 3 kids would go to English school so that we'd have a better chance on the international business market. But I grew up seeing Afrikaner culture where it's very religious yet very worldly. I grew up in an environment that was not just racist, but hyper-racist, overtly racist. People constantly trying to justify racism with out of context Bible verses, constantly. I grew up in an environment where drinking on the weekends, partying on the weekends was part of life. And often I saw cousins get drunk, hit each other, break bottles, stab each other. It was crazy. I grew up in an environment where everyone had government jobs. They worked at the post office, mental hospital, railways, most of my family. And so on the weekends, they all get together around there, and their conversations would be racist and accusational against each other, problem with the British, problem with that. That's the culture I grew up in. It was a very negative, blameful culture. And then when I got born again when I was 16 years old, and then I used to sneak away, even during apartheid, and go to townships to go and spread the gospel. And there I saw a different culture where information just didn't matter. Education just didn't matter. There wasn't an obsession with information like there was in my world. And even then, I was like, oh my word, this is what we have to change. We have to create a desire for information, an incredible desire for information. And then as the years went by, I saw all the different cultures and how those different cultures, whether they were good or bad, were exceptional at keeping people where they are. So when you are loyal to your culture, you cannot go forward. And people think, what's bad about my culture? There's a lot bad about your culture. The first bad thing about your culture is that you even ask that question, what's bad about my culture? It's made you so blind and so stuck. Like, people say, what's wrong with funerals? What's wrong with Lobola? You're like, huh? Well, funerals, it's someone who's dead. Now you make debt to go and get a cow when you don't have money as it is. There's something called exponential liabilities. In other words, you go and buy a liability. The money that you took or borrowed to buy that cow that you didn't need for that funeral, to spend all that money for all the people who come for the after tears party or whatever, that money is money that is in the minus. Now, where you could have been investing it, or you could have been buying an asset, or you could have been doing something else with that money that you borrowed, you're now in the minus, and you set yourself back by years. Lobola, when a young couple starts out, again, it's this exponential negative. It's a liability where a young man has got money that he needs to invest into his family, get a house or a car or something so he can get to work, or have furniture so he doesn't make debt to buy the furniture. That money, that cash, that starting out cash at that age puts you behind by 20, 30 years sometimes. In European culture, families give you money when you get married. Don't know if you guys knew that. Do you know that when a whitey gets married, people give them money. They bring them washing machines, and you don't start off in the minus. You start off in the plus. In Jewish culture, they already start saving up for you when you are 12, 13 years old. 10% of, that's what, there's 3 different tithes that they pay. 10% of their income gets put away for you so that when you are ready, when you finish studying and stuff, they can start a business with you. And not just your parents, but your aunts, your uncles, anybody whose kids are already out of the house, start saving 10% for you. Some of those kids in Jewish culture, in Ashkenazi culture, can you imagine this? Because that's the wealthiest people on earth, Jews. Can you imagine this? So, who here is 18 years old? Is anybody 18? Okay, you're 18. Imagine, on your 18th birthday, your whole family sits down with you and says, okay, we've saved up 5 million rand. How are we going to start a business for you? Can you imagine that? The difference, eh? Jewish culture, that's what they do. The dad from when you were born, has started buying land next door, building on the rooms and everything for you, so that when you get married, you don't have to make debt or try and rent a place. There's a room and everything waiting for you. Plus, they've saved up money to help you start out in life so that there's nothing holding you back. You know how many years that puts you ahead? On average, 15 to 20 years. Eh? Can you imagine? Let's see. There's Veronica. Hey, Veronica, imagine. How old are you now? 19. Can you imagine 18 years old? Your whole family sits down, uncles, grandpas, everybody says, we've saved up 7 million rand. We're going to start a nice business with you. Eh? Eh? Do you see the difference in culture? That's the culture that Jesus was raised in. In Jewish culture back then, the highest, so everybody started out. I think it's possibly like that in Israel. I don't know in the Orthodox areas, but back then, everybody studied the Torah. So from when you're a little baby, you studied the Old Testament. And then, the very, very best, most intelligent, who knew the Torah, the Old Testament, the best, got to be a disciple of a rabbi. And if you were unsuccessful, now let's say a rabbi decides he's only going to have 12 disciples. Now, how many kids are in your class? 40. Let's say there's 40 kids in your class. Now, all 40 of those kids want to be a rabbi. They all want to be, because it's the highest honor. It's like no higher honor. The most intelligent people in Israel become rabbis. Now, so it's 12. What's 40 minus 12? 28. Am I right? Where's all the mathematicians? You guys do school. You're all looking at me like I'm insulting you. Okay, so so the other 28 who didn't make it as rabbi, they now had to go and see, like, mom and dad, what am I going to do? Then the mom and dad say, okay, well, we saved up. You're going to become this, you're going to become that, you're going to become this, you're going to become that. And they start businesses. Then they're fishermen, and often they're not rich, but they go into business because they weren't good enough to become a rabbi. Why is a rabbi or a teacher of the Bible so highly ranked in Israel? Do you know that they have competitions to see whose rabbi can be the most blessed? All of the business people in a particular, let's call it a church, like a Jewish church, all of them give 1/40 of their personal income directly to that rabbi. And their goal is to see who's the richest community, because then that rabbi earns the most. Why does that rabbi earn so much? Because he's the most knowledgeable. This is the power of knowledge. You can go as a business guy to that rabbi and say, listen, I'm not sure what to do. And the rabbi will say, do this, 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 and then your business succeeds. You can go, your marriage is falling apart. The rabbi says, do this, 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 and they listen without questioning. They do exactly as they're instructed by that rabbi, because they know that's the cleverest guy in that community. He's got the most wisdom. So they honor wisdom above all. Now, this is our cultures. Our cultures honor ego. Our cultures, now let's take South African culture overall, Western culture. We honor fame. We say that person is famous. We honor looks. You know how dumb we are? Do you know how stupid we are in how we fawn and fall over good-looking people? Men over good-looking women especially. If a woman is good-looking in the West, she doesn't have to be good at anything else. She just has to be good-looking, and then she can choose a man. So ladies, if you are genetic anomalies and you're very pretty, make yourself prettier and prettier and prettier, and then you can pick and choose. In Europe, there's a thing, I think it's still going, where the women say, okay, I'll keep my body looking like this and my face looking like this. I want a man who can give me the following lifestyle. Book, 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 book. And the guys bid for that woman in their thousands. In their thousands, they bid for a chance to marry that woman just because of the way she looks. That is Western society. Someone who can act on the screen is famous. We fall over ourselves in Western society to know that person. Do you know how stupid that is? If someone is a famous DJ, let's think about it. What does a DJ do? Do we have any DJs in the house here? I used to be a DJ. I traveled the world DJing. Can I tell you what I did as a DJ? I push stop and I push start and I push start and I push stop. And then I adjust the speed a little bit and then I push start and I push stop. And then everybody wants my autograph. I travel the world and they pay me lots of money. We've got Instagram stars. We've got people on YouTube. We worship dumb people. People they don't have wisdom. They just got looks, luck, and one or two skills. So you want to help somebody out of poverty, you've got to change their mental priority to shift from worshiping looks to worshiping wisdom. You've got to get those people to divorce shallow materialism and fall in love with information. My people are destroyed for lack of? My people are destroyed for lack of? And God said that. He said, my people. He's referring to His chosen people. He was referring to the Israelites. He said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Now imagine if you don't fall into the class of my people. When you prioritize looks. Where's Rinky? Is it? Is someone watching them? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Just making sure someone's watching my little wheelbarrow of gold. My little nunky pear. My little snooky bear. My little morning cuddle bunny. She comes in there into my prayer room in the mornings, sticks her head in. Dada, you awake? Yes? Cuddles. And then she runs, jumps in, cuddles. Love being a dad. It's like a... Okay, is something going in? Is something happening in your mind? Your culture will either keep you poor, will either keep you angry. Your culture will either keep you stupid or it will enrich you. The difference between someone in poverty and someone who is wealthy is culture. It's your culture is the habits, the rituals, the belief systems, what goes into your ears. Whoever has your ear has your heart. Whoever has your heart orders your steps. So Jesus says, if you don't hate your culture, if you don't hate the culture of your family, if you don't hate the culture of the old church that you used to be in, you are not worthy of following me. Because He's saying, at that time He was saying, only 12 people can follow me. And there's hundreds of you over here. And in the end, he had about 70 following him. People say that's not a lot of people following Jesus. 70 disciples is incredible. A true disciple. I don't know. I've been in ministry for long, and I don't know how many disciples I have. I don't know if I have 1 or if I have 100, or I don't quite know. Because the question is, so when I share stuff with people, do they abandon what they believed before and trust me enough to apply what I'm teaching them now? That's what determines, So let's say one of our favorite pastors, and he's coming in September for our September crusade, Pastor Ned Merriman from Vision Church. His teachings are so good, his life philosophies are so good, his wisdom is so good, that abandoning everything you know to sit at his feet is wisdom in and of itself. As Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. To follow someone means stop walking like you used to and start walking like me. So the key, if you want to help people out of poverty, is you have to get them to divorce themselves from that poverty culture. And if you are a pastor who works in poverty, you have got to be the link between those people and someone who is prosperous, someone whose ministry is prospering, someone whose people are prospering. Become a link. Become a link. If you are a person who wants to mentor people in poverty, become a link. Link them to someone who's succeeding. Everything is about impartation. Everybody say impartation. Whoever you spend time with orders your steps. The conversations that you have are so important. Ek staan nie om 'n braai met 'n klomp rassiste nie. I refuse to stand around a barbecue with a bunch of racists. The moment that topic comes up, I won't stand around a braai if you start talking to me about the DA or the ANC or the EFF or none of those people. Oh my God, as far as I'm concerned, it's easy to know when a politician is lying. Does anybody know how to tell when a politician is lying? His mouth is moving. They mean well. I know it's my destiny at some point to go into politics. I know it's inevitable. If I want to help the poor, I have to go into politics at some point. And my biggest concern is I say, Lord, when I'm ready, surround me with people who hold me accountable, who fight with me to speak the truth. Because your votes become your God. You'll say anything to get those votes. You will lie to get those votes. Power becomes your God, because without power you can't change people's lives. So you start to put truth on the altar of power. So we know that governments can't help us. It'll be a miraculous government that helps us. But we exchanged one corrupt government for another corrupt government in 1994. Most people got a form of freedom, but nothing changed. Poverty didn't change. As a matter of fact, there are more poor people now ratio-wise than there were back then. Why? Because whatever was happening just kept happening. Very few things changed. It was never really a white-black thing, although the apartheid was, but it was never really. It was always a rich-poor thing. And now more like black people also get rich, and then they do exactly what the other white people did, exactly what the Arab rich are doing, exactly what the Russian rich are doing, exactly what the Ukrainian rich are doing. It's always been this, Jesus only references one competition for God, and that's the spirit of mammon. Mega rich, mega poor. To help someone out of poverty, one of the things that changes in your mind as you grow up out of poverty is to realize that poverty is a business model. Did anybody know that? Do you know that poverty is a business model? Governments and big corporate companies and those who have a say over government will stimulate poverty, try and keep people in poverty so that labor is cheap. because then products can be cheap and profits can be high. It's a business model. It should make you angry to realize. When you look at a political party, they've got to have a marketing campaign. Where do you think they get that money from? They get that money from people and companies who want to keep the cheap labor, want to keep miners as cheap as possible, want to keep workers as cheap as possible. So they'll pour billions to get a political party and a political person into power who will keep those who are in poverty in poverty. Going to Tumahole. Have a look 30 years later if you can find toilets that flush in schools even. You know that sound? Go look at how many homes have got running water, flushing toilets. It's a strategy. It's a business model. It's on purpose. They were doing it to black and white people during apartheid. They're doing it to black and white people now. Your only salvation is to change your culture to a culture of wisdom, and that's what Jesus comes to bring. He says, I have come that you may have life and life in abundance. Stop thinking the way your parents have taught you, the way your government has taught you. Why don't you go and have a look at all the newspapers and see if there's any advice in those newspapers? Is there any business advice in those newspapers? Is there any relationship advice? Usually it's a little column that's put way at the back of that newspaper. Go look on the internet. Go look on News 24. See if you can find any good advice. How to be a good husband, how to be a good wife, how to run your finances, how to do your taxes. Usually on page 24 or something. What's in the front? Julius Malema. Mulder. Racism. They shout and scream. Keep them divided, because if they work together, we lose our power. Who do you think owns the media that talks to you? Jesus said, abandon that stuff. Paul says, be no longer conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When you come and sit at the feet of Jesus and get the training of Jesus, sit at the feet of mentors who are outside of those systems, you become wise, and wisdom tells you one thing: my ship will never come in, because I am the ship. You know, when you're waiting for your ship of success to go, one day, says Sherry, my ship's going to come in and I'm going to have everything. And Denise said, I don't need a ship to come in. I'm just going to choose a good husband. Denise, please don't choose a poor guy. Please, Denise. You've got options. Make men work for it. Ladies, don't, looks. As I stand before you, turning 48 tomorrow, see this? When my wife married me, I was dancing and all that kind of thing. I had an 8-pack down here. When I took off my shirt, it was like I looked like the statue of David. Do you understand? Mandy used to tell me, you look like the statue of David. I'm like, yeah. From all the dancing. But the looks disappear. Now I look like something she found under a bridge and cleaned up. Look at the beard and the hair, and and I'm like all fat and chubby, and this is the way the husbands go. You understand? If you marry for looks, it's a terrible idea. That's the problem with Western thinking. Make that man work for it. All the men are like, I hate this guy. Make that guy work for it. Like, tell him, I'd like to know about wisdom. The first priority in choosing wisely. Do you know that in the New Testament, nochal, it says a guy who can't take care of his family is worse than a heathen. There's some of us who can do it effortlessly because our culture, the culture that we've embraced. You can ask Jared. Once you've embraced a culture of good stewardship, you can sit in your bum and a salary will come to you. You can do nothing and a salary will come to you because you're inside a culture of good stewardship. Once you embrace that thing, ladies, choose a man who works hard, who pursues wisdom. I don't know. I live in South Africa. I think I'll wait until I die if I have to look for a guy like that. Choose a guy who's consistent, who's going to love you and appreciate you. And I can guarantee you, if the guy is so good looking that a lot of girls are chasing him, there's probably a 1% chance he's going to be a good man. I don't know, let's talk about something else. Well, if you want to rescue somebody from poverty, get them away from materialism, get them away from looks, get them away from that shallow, stinking mud puddle of a world, and get them into the kingdom of God where all that matters is wisdom and the spirit of a man, the spirit of a woman. When you choose a husband or a wife one day, choose someone's spirit. Don't even look outside. Don't look at the paint on the car. Don't look at if it's gefloof or geting or gedrr. I promise you, gedrr is going to become gedonk. Understand? In Afrikaans, it's very funny. It says, when you're young, you have a ratkas. And then, as you mature and you gym, you get a borskas. And then when you get older, you get a hankas. So, I don't even know how to translate that to English. Let me read some comments here. Amen. Pastor Greg says, distractions and ideologies, front page. Absolutely. Renee says, wisdom and love. Yeah, Renee says, there's no water. Yeah, Matthew says, people are kept in poverty to keep them easier to control. Debbie dropping wisdom bombs as usual. Liz says, please tell me where these men are, please. They're so hard to find. Well, if you are in environments and cultures of the pursuit of wisdom, you'll find men there. Which is why I'm grateful that God is putting together a pastoral team here, which is giving me the comfort to say, okay, let's go for it. Let's build a pastoral community, like a church community. And another cool thing is, funnily enough, Pastor Jan reached out to me today, and he actually said, listen, the Holy Spirit's told him he's ready. He wants to start doing an international online church. So we can also, for people who are not in healthy churches, we can mentor them and reach out to them on an online church. Those online churches are awesome, mate. It's a lot of fun. You can do meta church as well, with VR glasses, and then you sit there and you look at everyone. It's got like fishes and puppy dog heads, and it's really fun. But anyway, the key to taking someone out of poverty is taking their mind out of poverty. Take their mind out. The first step, though, is Jesus. Get them into the teachings of Jesus, not into churchianity. Everybody say churchianity bad. You know what churchianity is? Where you have to be loyal to your church, and you have to be loyal to your pastor, and you have to be loyal to your denomination, and you can't look outside for new information, for new wisdom. Right, so who in the room here is 11? No, nobody 11? 12? 13? 14? A lot of 14-year-olds. Excellent. 15? 16, 17, 18, 19, 40. Not 14. Are you 40? 46? No, man, I thought you were in your 30s. What's going on here? Are you also in your 40s? What's going on here? 49! No, man. So you guys look like kids, eh? You all look like a bunch of lighties, eh? Jeremiah, how old are you? 22? 33. Hey, that's Jesus' age when he died. We're going to watch you now. Do you know you can be trapped in your culture until the day you die, stubbornly holding on to terrible belief systems? Leave it all, man. No matter how good your culture looks, if you want to move on from where you are, divorce your culture, follow Jesus himself, and your life will change. And let me try and close. Good luck. So, the question is, pastors ask me often, what does it look like practically to pull someone out of poverty? Make them hireable so that people want to hire them. And then when they're in the job, that people want to keep them. Make them likable. Make them favorable. And how do you do that? You have to get them to divorce one culture and embrace another. The culture of success is one of excellence. It is going the extra mile. Jesus gave such incredible answers. You know, when people say, yeah, I'm in slavery and I got enemies and people are killing me, and Jesus says, go the extra mile. So we've got the big 6. So what is excellence? Say what? That's it. Go the extra mile all the time. What's initiative? Go the extra mile all the time before you are asked. You see, that is a culture. Now, if you've got 2 people in the same position, and one, now that's how Jesus said you must respond to your enemies, eh? Carry the water for him an extra mile. So if you got 2 people working for you, and the one, then I say, okay, let's have the band here on 7 o'clock every night. Woo! And then we got 2 who say we'll go the extra mile all the time. Without being asked. I didn't ask. I just said when I'm going to be here, I don't ask people to join me. Very rarely will I ask you. If I ask you to do something, you know I trust you. If I don't trust people, I don't ask them. So people are like, he hasn't asked me anything. Obviously, I got trust issues. I manage my expectation. But if you got 2 people, and the one you say, would you stay late tonight? And they go, I don't know. And the other one goes, I've already planned on staying late tonight because I knew you'd be there, and I've already organized this. Who are you going to promote? The one with initiative or the one with the attitude problem? But you see, in our cultures, we get taught, I'm going to chew my bubble gum and give you attitude. Then I'm going to go tell my friends, that boss of mine, he expected me to stay late, But I told him. I put him right in his place. And then anybody with half a brain is going to look at you and say, yo, but you're dumb. Anybody who knows the culture of excellence knows, oh my word, what have you done? Do you know your boss is probably not ever going to give you a raise? Hi, my name's Bob. Boss, I would like a raise, please. Please call. Bob goes, hi, boss, my name's Bob, and I'd like to complain because I've been around here and I haven't had a raise in like 4 years. And the interest rate's going like this, and my house is more expensive, and my cars are more expensive, and I just feel this is wrong. There's favoritism in this office. And then the boss says, Bob, could I show you why you haven't got a raise? Oh, I'd like to hear this. It says, Bob, call Nehemiah. What's your first name? Not Philip. What's your first name? Eh? Cornelius. Call Cornelius. And then Cornelius comes. My accent's going to be bad, Cornelius. Don't judge me. Hello. Yeah? What's up, boss? And then Bob's like, a black man just called you boss. You see, there's subjugation in this office. And then Cornelius says, don't tell me how to feel. I work for him. He's my boss. You shut up. I don't care what color he is. He pays my salary. He's my boss. And then he says, okay, Bob, there's a guy down there. Oh, this is going to be good. What am I expecting here? There's a guy down there. There's a white van. Can you see it? It looks out the window. I see it, yes? Can you just pop down there and just ask the guy what he's up to? It's not my job, but okay. Bob goes down. It's gone for like 10 minutes, comes back up. Guy's name's George, and he's moving into the office downstairs there. He's going to start a shop. Do you know what shop it is? I didn't ask. Okay, Bob, watch this. Cornelius. Don't worry, I'm on it. Then he runs down the stairs. He's gone for about 15 minutes. He gets back. Oh, that's George Christopoulos. He is moving here from all the way from from East London. That's not how Cornelius talks. My accent is very bad. His wife died, so he wanted to move up here to take care of his family, and he wants to show his family that he loves them very much. So he started the business so he can employ them. He's a good guy. We must support his business. And then I say, then the boss says to Bob, that's why Cornelius gets double your salary. Do you understand? Can anybody figure out the difference between the two? One's got initiative, the other one's got attitude. Bad attitude. What's the definition of attitude? The grease in the machine that generates favor. And if you've got a bad attitude, there's no grease. So the engine of your success will cease up and die. Divorce your culture. Buy into a culture of excellence. So you want to drag people out of poverty. Drag their mind out of the poverty. It's literally dragging a mind out of the gutter. There you go. That's me. Okay. And then Val says, America is currently facing an entitlement mentality where young people refuse to work in jobs that don't elevate them. Yeah, that is the planet, basically. So partner with us if you can. We're doing a lot of work with a lot of children. So excited. I see Operation Safe Place is happening. Are all you girls sleeping over? That is amazing. So there's bunk beds up there and pajamas and feathers and you like, and just like singing Kumbaya all night and like, we can't sleep. When we first started doing the camps here, then I'd make sure that the tent with the kids was right next to my caravan with the girls so that if there's a problem, I'm there. And then I just hear those girls till 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, on that note, partner with us if you can, www.feed14k.com. Our daily goal is 3 to 5,000 Rand, 3 to 500 US dollars, pounds, euros, yen, whatever. If you can partner with us, do it. We love you. Bye. Say bye, everyone. A goodbye thought here from Pastor Greg. It says, do more than you are asked to do, and you will receive more than you asked for. Amen. And I will be